Hello, and welcome back to Soul Spy University, where your souls can run free and your minds are free to expand. We are live with leading expert on alternate realities, best-selling author, podcaster, president of IMAC, and Reality Shifters founder, Cynthia Sue Larson. And we are bound to take you where your mind hasn't before. Today, we'll be finding out exactly the depths of how deep soul ties can go, tying in as twin flames, visions, portals, the other side, and much more. It's okay. It's okay. This interview station is mind-blowing. And to be honest, I haven't heard anything like it. So I hope you enjoy it. But please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help support the consciousness expanding movement and more content like this. For those of you that don't know, Cynthia Sue Larson is the best-selling author of 6 books, including Quantum Jumps and Reality Shifts. She is the founder of Reality Shifters. She is the president of IMAC, which is my personal favorite, the International Mandela Conference that goes live every month on YouTube on Open Tables. Oh, I love it. I love it. Guys, got to check that out. She also hosts Living the Quantum Dream on Dream Vision 7 radio network. And she has a degree in physics from UC Berkeley, an MBA degree, and a doctorate in divinity. She's been featured on numerous shows, including the History Channel, Gaia, BBC, One World with Deepak Chopra, and Coast to Coast AM, which I also love. And she has a second degree black belt in Cook Soul. Right. Sorry, guys, I'm running on no sleep right now. I do love Cynthia, though. I do. Even if she accomplished none of this, I would love her. So, Cynthia, how are you today?
Oh, doing great, Christina. So good to see you.
Thank you. As always, it's like heaven to be with you. So, okay. So, if it's okay, I'm going to share with you something today that I already told you a glimpse of in the past. However, I'm going to do this video for those who are experiencing something similar, because then they'll be so grateful they found this video, for solace and refuge in a way.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the summer of 2008 was, I noticed a lot happened that year with a lot of people. Yeah. For me, I was awakening, and it was literally like, the REM Losing My Religion song was pretty much lived out that summer for me. I met what I later know as, I'm talking 7 years later, I discovered the term twin flame. And that's when I realized, when I read up on it, how not crazy I was. Something very profound, a lot of profound things happened to me that summer. But I thought, once the term came out and there was so much to do with, the certain symptoms of that, I realized, oh my God, that was all real. And it was very profound from the inside out. So I'm going to share with you a little, one of the most profound things about that summer, because I'm curious what you have to say about it in case other people are experiencing something similar. Now, for those of you that don't know, since then, I've considered myself a retired twin flame. Okay, meaning I'm probably still a twin flame, but
right.
The laws of nature are such that, you know what, I'll meet him in heaven or something. There's a lot that goes with twin flame, and I wish it was just the heavenly part, but it's not. So, I have to focus on my soul mission, and it's a great thing. Otherwise, what it taught me was amazing. So basically, so I met. I was 22, about to turn 23, and I went in to get my friend some food. And basically, there was this very harmonious, energetic dance between me and this person who opened the door for me, went behind the counter to take my order. And it was right there, the minute we looked at each other, that my whole world, I'm not saying I wasn't into any of this before. I didn't know there was any of this to be into. I never heard of anything prior to that in terms of law of attraction. I think it was that year that I started to read The Secret. But in terms of where I'm at now, I was like a little bud in my awakening, and I still consider myself a student of everything, just learning. But this was like, when I say like I was in the sperm stages of being a human, do you know what I'm saying, in terms of this.
Yeah.
So when him and I looked at each other, it was like, but it sounds intense, but it was in the most graceful way. Intense. It wasn't intense, but it was a lot, but gracefully. And it didn't feel like a lot. It was like a beautiful simplicity. And somehow I'm like, how do I know you? And it was like all of a sudden, something I've never been introduced to in my life. I'm like, is there such thing as former lifetimes? Is he my soul brother? Yeah, like it was like, anyway. So I thought, interesting, magical, nothing of it, because I'm still a regular human at that point. Well, synchronicities, we were bathing in them. And he went off to vacation in his vacation home, which is ironically where I had just moved back from. So I'm originally from New York, but I lived in Jacksonville for a few years in Florida. He went to vacation in Jacksonville, where he has a house. So weird. And when he was out there, here's where it happens.
Okay.
I was trying to tell the people that raised me that my mom and dad worked a lot. So I was raised by these caregivers, as like babysitting family. And I love them. So I'm still in their lives at age 22, and I'm over their house, this great Italian family who I feel is my soul family. And basically they're like, oh, Chris, these guys. But I'm telling you, like, I'm not one to have a crush. I'm not one to like whoever everybody likes, great. I don't have that spark in me for them. It's very so this is pretty much the only person I've ever like felt anything for in terms of a like something like, and he's not even my usual type that I was taught to like in this reality filters. So this was all very like, whoa, like if I see these things in another person, I would be attracted. This was deep. So I was trying to say to them, no, you guys don't understand. I would trust my kids with this guy, right? And I don't have any kids, but I'm saying my future ones. So as I said that, I looked off into the corner of the room, and all of a sudden, I've never had anything like this in my life. All of a sudden, it was like, and all of a sudden, I saw him looking out into the ocean. And then it went into that horizon. And then I saw, it was like realer than here. It was like, I want to say a vision, realer than here. Like I saw parts of somebody's arm. I, saw freckles here. I see that there's moonlight shining off of this person. I never, ever felt so much love for something in my life. I didn't know. It was like the love was beyond this life. I didn't know you could feel this much love for anything ever. This was the most expansive thing I've ever come across. Like this was like as if I'm family with him beyond anything I knew that existed, And I was like, oh my God, who is this? And I was like, it was just parts of the person, And I eventually I was like, what is that? And I said his name, and it was him. And I was like, and then I saw a little on his arm, a little hand attached to a little arm. And all of a sudden, as I'm looking at that, it was like 100 times more love than I felt towards what I didn't think could be more than the being I was originally looking at. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember when I used to write about this, I would be bathing in tears because of the love was the enormity of this was just beyond words, like beyond like, and I realized it's a baby, right? And I was like, I just never felt so much love for anything in my entire life. Like this was like more than I like didn't like, I just didn't know any of this existed. Okay. This was like a whole other universe of like, And I was like, so I was amazed. I was awestruck. And as I'm there, like soaking it all in, and eventually I come to
Mm.
realize, like, okay, like, and he's smiling, he's beaming, and I feel the happiness off of him, and I feel the baby, and I and I'm like, oh, he's happy looking at something. He's
Yeah.
so happy looking at something. And I said, you know, as I felt all his emotions and the baby, and I was like, I wonder what he seems to be really happy looking at something. What is he looking at? So I look towards the ocean
Mhm.
and I see a girl in the ocean, frolicking, so free, looking back at both of them, just so happy. So, like, her hair's wet, it's curly, from the wetness and dark. And she's just frolicking. She's under, like, I think the sun was setting or it was stars. I remember this all being in shades of blue for some reason. And
Mhm.
I felt her beaming. She was so happy. She was so free. And she would look back at them. And I've never, it was, I don't know. I mean, thank God I could tell about this without bathing in tears, because this is probably the first time. Um, and I remember thinking, wow, she's so free, so magical, so developed within herself, like so free of a spirit. Like, who is she? And I took a closer look and I was like, oh my God, is it me? And then right when I realized that, it was back to him staring off to the sunset, back to me in an inside room staring off into the corner. And I was
Wow.
like, wow. Yeah, I just thought, wow. And I thought, And I went in the kitchen. At the time, I still smoked. I had a cigarette, because what do you do? And
Mhm.
I thought, wow, imagine if he had the same vision. Well,
Mhm.
I then got a text a couple minutes later at 4:28 p.m., which I'll never forget because that's the number of my parents. It's a synchronicity because I grew
Mhm.
up 428 Westchester Avenue. So, and it was him. And he said, how are you, darling? Which normally we wouldn't use these terms nowadays, but for some reason it spoke to my soul. And I was like, this is interesting. So, back and forth a little. Well, I don't know how you think nothing of it, but I thought nothing of it because my consciousness was where it was then. When he came back, there were three things that he did and mentioned that later I finally realized, oh my God. Because how could I let such a thing in, that this could be real? So I remember he first came back. He was very eager to see me. I had to be the first one he saw. I thought, maybe it's not my imagination, this connection, maybe not. I go over and sorry, I'm just gonna pause it because I'm freezing in my apartment.
Okay. 428.
Yeah. So yeah, he made sure that we saw each other right away. We're in his basement and we're watching TV, and we had an energy that I didn't know existed in me prior to him. I never felt so, this is going to sound crazy, so female in my life. Like, I always knew I was a female and I know I'm a female, but I never felt so divinely feminine until then. And later I realized, oh my God, everything they wrote about twin flames synced up right away. And I don't think he
Mhm.
ever felt divinely as masculine as he did with me, because he was more, friends with girls. I was more friends with guys. So together, it's like
Mhm.
we divinely yin yang or something, balanced each other out. There was a lot of synchronicity I can get to that summer, but to spare the time, just on this alone, he, he was kind of laying on my lap and I was like caressing him and, calming him down, I guess, with my energies naturally. And before I knew energy was a thing. And, he was enjoying it. And then a commercial, a Pampers commercial came on. And I
Huh.
had a flashback, but I didn't say anything. And he went out of his way to hold me very close and like out of like joy and like, and
Mhm.
I was like, "Hmm, nah, right? No. Well, then he had me visit him at his job. This is weird thing number two. He asked me my natural hair color. And, as you saw in the pictures on another podcast, I'm naturally a platinum blonde. When I was younger, I now darken it for other reasons. I'll get to it another time. But basically, yeah, he has my natural hair color. I said something girly, like, oh, who knows anymore? It changes all the time, which is sort of true. I mean, I could do nothing to this and it'll turn like yours. It's spring and summer. And basically, he's like, really, he just seemed very interested in this question. And finally, I don't know why, really no intention in it. I finally, as he's walking away and he seems fascinated, I said, I don't know. And at the time, my hair was lighter. I said, I don't know. I mean, it's dark and curly when wet. Literally had no intention in saying that. I had no intention of saying it. And he stopped dead in his tracks, looked back at me and said, really? And I said, yes. And everybody's, and he was like, he just seemed very, and again, I thought, like, it didn't occur to me till later. And I was like, no, right? No. Well, we end up at a movie together, and as we're leaving, and now our bond is so organic and beautiful and beautifully simple. But on another time, I will tell you what ended up the muddling a little is real life of what happened to us sort of came into play. I let off of fear. I was scared. It gets, there's 5 other chapters, but anyway, just to this one, right? We were leaving a movie, and I had us in my car to drive him back to his, and he goes, hey, I have a question. He's like, did you have any visions when I was away? And again, because I don't know anything about this field or anything, I was just like, I didn't let it in really. Like I did, but at a level that was, I was dealing with other things at that moment. Like, I was worried about us for a second because I was like, something's different. I think it's because I had a worry in me anyway, because I was technically still married to somebody else. We'd been separated, living apart for years. I got married when I was 18. It's a whole thing. Okay. So the guy couldn't care less about me, but how do I explain my life choices to someone who's normal? Okay. So like that, I think was weighing on me because our connection was so strong. He did ask me to marry him 3 times. I know it was playfully, but on a soul level, it was. And I think I was worried about telling him that. And I think because I was driven out of fear, I sort of acted, so I was kind of in my own worries. But when he said, did you have any visions when I was away? Again, I was sidetracked my emotions. I was like, yeah. He's like, not dreams, but it was during the day. Like, did you have a vision or anything? And I was like, yeah, I think I did actually. And he was like, oh my God. And he held my hand. He looked at me in the eyes and he goes, imagine if we were telepathically speaking to each other. Like, imagine if we were like, and I was like, imagine. And I just shrugged my shoulders and drove him back to his car. I was kind of dealing with my own stuff. Okay. It was months later that I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, this is real. This is real. You know what I mean? Like, and this was amazing. But anyway, I just wanted to ask you what you think of that. What do you think? What do you think? In all of my things, I literally have the question, what do you think that was? But I don't know how to ask it. Like, like in terms of that vision, it was really, it felt,
it's out. I don't know if you found out what he was envisioning at the same time. Maybe later you did.
Well, talk about Mandela. So basically, I tried to
bring it up again.
Dance around it, hint at it when I thought there was nothing left to lose. Like I already kind of left the whole scene. He would be approaching me. And then I thought, all right, he's approaching me. I'm just curious. I have nothing else to lose. Let me just shyly bring it up without bringing it. And he would constantly be like, I don't know what you're saying. So
Okay. So it's like it's almost like it didn't happen for him, but in some reality it did. And in that reality where it did, it's quite likely that you guys were having a shared experience, which was that vision that he was asking you about,
That's
which
what I mean.
was
How does he
you.
ask me about it and have those two other things, but then all of a sudden, I think what it is, it's so mind blowing. I have done a path since then that led me here. I went into
Right.
that kind of thing. Despite the fact
Right.
what happened after that, etc., I eventually found
Right.
back to what my soul wants to do. And he went
And
the
that was a
other,
big part of it. Yeah.
yeah,
So
he went,
it's kind of like you gave each other permission to go in a different direction. And so,
yeah,
yeah,
he
he
went
did go the
the
other
other
way.
way. Yeah, he went to
Right.
what is normal. And he,
Mhm.
he's a teacher and, he hates his job and literally is doing what most people are doing, unfortunately, which is I'm doing what's normal. I'm doing what pays the bills. I have unresolved emotions about this. I don't want to face, so I'm taking pills for it. So he went literally the complete opposite of me. And I can't tell if it's like this is a different reality version of him that doesn't remember the vision or didn't have the vision, um,
Right.
or if it's the same version of him, but because that's so mind-blowing and he got drowned in all the normalcy since then, that he
Right.
would not even think of letting it in, kind of like me back then. That's like, imagine, but
Right.
left it where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it seems like you guys were catalysts for each other. And so maybe you don't need to feel guilt like he went in a bad direction. It may not be bad. It's
Yeah,
probably what he needs on some level. And maybe once he gets to a certain point, then he'll wake up and snap out of it. We'll see. But I see it's a good thing for you. What happened in 2008? Because then look what happened after that. And it was
thank you.
clearly a pivotal moment. So, so
Thank
I
you.
think whichever way we look at it, can these things happen? They do. They happen all the time. Are they talked about? Not usually. It's almost like a taboo in our culture not to talk about that you can have a shared dream, and that these shared dream realities create the reality that we're actually in. This is like totally almost taboo. Like you can't talk about that.
Yeah,
I think there's a concern that if that's true, then how do we hold together the fabric of society and all of our structure? I actually believe it would be fine. I know we're creating a new world, that there's a disintegration happening right now. We can see it in all around us, like right now in 2022. It's huge, it's epic. So everything's disintegrating and we're dreaming this new reality into being. And so the fact that you had these experiences, that you're talking about them and sharing them with people is profound, because it gives people the idea, like it'll just give light bulb flashes everywhere. People will be like, I think that happened to me. I think I felt something with someone.
thank
And
God.
then, yes, and that is how we create this new reality. That is what you did, what you were going through. That's the essence of everything.
Thank you. Thank you. It's almost like we're a giant brain. And thank God by revealing this, it hopefully will create other synapses with this synapse of exposing it. Because, I'm obviously risking how I look right now to people and in all of these podcasts, but I know I'm doing it for something bigger than me, which is why I'm doing it, you know?
And
Um,
that kind of vulnerability is strength, actually. People view to you it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm so exposed, I'm so vulnerable. Everyone else looks at you and thinks she is so strong. And at some point you're gonna feel comfortable there. You'll be like, yeah, I'm vulnerable and I'm strong.
yeah,
And that's like your future self that's shining through, and everybody can feel it. I can feel it. I know it's palpable.
thank
So,
you. Thank you. I think you're right. There's still stigmas on these amazing magical things. And that's why people don't open their minds to it. And that's why it maybe doesn't happen. So, um, if you have anything else to say on this, otherwise we'll move on. It's up to you.
well, I think one more thing we didn't touch on is if someone's hearing this and they're thinking, gosh, I did have an experience recently, like it just happened to me.
Yes.
Well, then this is an opportunity for you and I both to give our take on that. Like, what is, if someone did just have this, What
Yeah.
does it mean? I think it's a very unique experience. And so if it's happening and you can resonate with it, like this is happening, that means that's a big aha. It's a big pay attention. It's like, look closer. And it's really an invitation from the cosmos asking each of us who has these experiences, what do you really want? What do you really need? That's the question. And
Yes.
if you soak in that, then you'll know the answer. So we're not, I wouldn't, dare to say for someone what is the right answer, but for their experience, you'll know. And that's an invitation. It's a huge one. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're co-creating this together. So how good can it get for all of us? But I'm sure you want to say something to that too. It's so cool. I love how you brought the whole subject up.
Yeah. I think the hardest part when you're first experiencing these things, like I'm okay with it now, but I think a very important part, which I think you're so amazing at, you deserve a million medals, a million trophies for this. And this is the hardest part of experiencing these things. But the most essential part is remaining grounded through it, and knowing, you're okay. It's okay. You are in the driver's seat. You can choose to look at that or not. Or if you're scared, it's okay. Look at that, and just be really light and playful about it. Because I can understand when someone's overwhelmed. I mean, to me, it was a very magical, moving thing. However, when you're facing the human you had it with, that is the one that led you to believe this literally happened, both of you, that's literally looking at you saying, I don't know what you're talking about. That can be a little bit.
I know.
So thank
That's
God for your work on this too, because it
that,
might be another reality. And it's like,
that, then then you kind of know what's going on. That's the tell. It's like, oh, okay. So I don't remember it right now. Okay. So that's where we are. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so amazing. Well, I love the way you're such a natural, graceful storyteller, and you really bring stories forth from the heart so people feel it and it's real. And it's amazing the detail you've got from 2008. That's been a while now, and it's like the way you tell it, it's like it happened last week. I love that.
oh my God, thank you. It used to be very, very close where, tears and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, guys, if something like this is happening to you, just know you're in a safe place right now. I would go to Cynthia. She's very grounding, very light, very compassionate about all of this. And, it's a safe place for you to share your experiences without being judged. It's okay, whatever you feel, you know. Now I want to bring up this next thing if you're ready, but if you have anything more to say on it, it's okay.
That's ready. Let's go.
Okay, so the second thing is, okay, on an earlier podcast, you mentioned how when you saw the alternate reality version of yourself, it was more of a feeling, less of a seeing, I think, right? That you had a feeling that pretty much predominated anything you're visually looking at. So I wanted to mention, so I was praying for years, please show me my mom physically, please. And it was finally shown to me in a dream. I remember them saying, no, you're going to get too scared, and I'm like, I'm not, I promise I won't. And then in a dream they showed me that I would, so I was like, all right, I got it, fine, whatever. But now I'm way past that, and I think it's, I don't know how to say it's starting to happen, but it's in the way that you described. So where it's more of a feeling, less of a seeing. So I can communicate where I will ask a question, and before it's even over, I have the answer. It's back and forth, fine, great. She can give me a song, great. I know which ones. She can give me the numbers constantly, great. I want something more. That's why I was asking the seer for so long, because as any human, it's a journey of discovery and wanting to find out more, and being ready for more. So here's what I'm going to try to put this into words. But during my, as I mentioned to you, I had these forest visions. So also in my time in the forest, I would like look into, again, it's a magic eye thing. And this started recently happening last year, where I would look into, like, say, the fall leaves
Yeah.
as I'm walking. And all of a sudden I would feel her. And it was almost as if I'm seeing her in the leaves, but I'm not visually seeing her. But it was almost like,
Right.
that's me, which is so weird. I know she loved fall. And it's almost like it's almost like I'm feeling what she would feel as she looked at the leaves. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a feeling, and it's happened beyond the forest now, where all of a sudden it's like, ah, I feel you, kind of like with those Easter downloads and stuff. And so yeah, I just
Mhm.
wanted to share that with you because I totally get that whole thing where it's like it's more of a feeling and less of a seeing. And I'm like, I think I'm starting to see her, just not visually, you know.
Yeah. And sometimes you can get a smell too. Like we're talking, and as you're describing that, I love my grandmother who passed on many years ago, but I smelled her. And I know that sounds weird. She'd wear fragrance. It wasn't a bad smell. It's like, and it's not like an old grandmother smell. It's like she wears these beautiful fragrances. And I was like, oh, and I could feel that. And so that can happen too. And then you just know they're with us.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of unexpected. And then you didn't make that up. Like who could possibly conceive? Like if you asked me, smell your grandmother, I wouldn't know how to do that. But it just now happened, just now. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just feel like I'm with her in her home when I was a little girl. And so that's what, and then you're talking about your mom and the leaves. And I'm like, yeah, because it's kind of like what you said. It's like she's there. It's like this is how she would experience the fall. It's like the leaves, the beingness, the verbiness, that the wave function, the flowiness of the leaves, the being.
Yeah.
It's beyond. It's so beyond words. But you could feel in it. You can feel her in your heart too, and then for sure. It's like she's
Yeah.
in your heart, and the
Oh yeah.
leaves, and it's like woo, like okay,
That's it. Yeah. And sometimes it's beyond the leaves. I was really grateful it started happening beyond the forest because I knew in the winter I wasn't going to be in there that much. And it'll just be like
right,
me like staring into like my kitchen somewhere. And again, I'm not looking for it. It comes to me. And
right,
it's like a magic eye thing where I don't visually see something, but I'll be like kind of like it's almost like a third eye or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah. Okay. So okay. I wanted to ask you, um, do you okay. Do you know anything about it's so weird. This is on iMac. Okay, portals. What are they? You know anything about
Okay,
portals?
yeah. Well, if you portals, they mean different things, but I guess the common understanding is that they are access gateway
Mhm.
to either other realities, or if you want to jump through time and space, then you'd go through a portal. So there's an understanding that portals are there for interdimensional, uh, you know, travel, communication, and it's just a way to. It's like a pathway through various realities, and we can find them in nature. They are usually felt because they're on, like if you're able to douse the energy grid lines and notice, like, okay, I think I'm on an energy line here. They're often at an intersection of these energy lines, right where sacred sites would be built typically. Like if you ever do dowsing and you go, like I used to love the work of oh, I can't remember. Hamish Miller. Yeah, he wrote books about dowsing in England. He's not with us anymore, but he has videos, and then you can kind of see what a wonderful gentleman he was, so full of magic and life. And anyway, he had books that described how you can find these douse the Michael and Mary lines, the male and the female lines through England. And so there's a tie-in with portals because portals are part of like this energy grid that's all across the planet, and it lines up with sacred sites. And that, so as we see the connection, not just on our planet, but also to other realities. And this is where it gets interesting because that's where you can uh, basically talk with, and I know people are going to be freaked out about this subject, like be careful. What? Yeah, of course, be careful. So I'm not just recommending people go out there and find portals and just blunder right through. No, me, I would say ask how good can it get. Keep your focus on whatever your faith is. Bring your highest level of love with you. Ask for protection, because who knows what the heck's going to happen when you open a portal. I think humans have an innate fear of these things. It's like the Sorcerer's Apprentice with Mickey Mouse in the cartoon, where it's like you open up things and it's just out of control instantly. So I'm speaking to that fear because I know for a lot of people, instantly that's where they go, like act. But from my experience, a portal is something. It's like a communication device. We use telephones, But what if you use portals to communicate with anywhere, anytime, anywhen? So you can talk to elves, you can talk to fairies, you can talk to other realities. Absolutely. So this is the real, we talked previously about the metaverse, and this is the real thing. This is where it gets really interesting. And you can have those conversations, and you can actually, if you're really daring, you can walk right through and be in another reality. And you can feel like you have just changed everything. But that's very bold. And again, walk with protection, walk with guidance, walk with a high intent. Definitely frame it with how good can it get. And that provides a tremendous foundational level of grounding that you're talking about. That's very important, so that you're not in any sense of fear. You're not upset about anything, and you're not feeling sad. You're above all of that, and you're in a state of just awareness, openness, and grace, and reverence. Real respect makes a big difference. And it can be, but portals are incredible. What are they? That's a whole huge subject. I don't even feel like I can answer that. So they seem like they're an intrinsic, implicit part of our reality structure. So they're there. They're it's not like someone needs to create one. It's already there. Like the energy grid is there. Where does it go? Pretty much anywhere. So they're very interesting, and that's a huge topic.
Yeah. Okay. Whole other time about that then. But that's amazing. Do you know anyone that's been through one?
Yes, you mentioned IMEC, and our own Christopher Anatra, the quantum businessman, on his birthday, I think last year, he went. He likes to travel back before all the lockdowns happened, and I think I can't remember what year he went. Maybe it was 19. He may have posted a video in 2020 on his quantum businessman channel, and he went to a portal location that had a large stone carving that was showing like this is the world, and around it there was sort of a grid grating, and he got closer to it. It's like he kind of fell into the portal in that moment. And he's going to be telling another experience that I don't even know what happened, but he just went to another portal in Kansas apparently this year. And so look for a video coming out soon from Christopher Anatra, the quantum businessman, and that's the channel, Quantum Businessman. So he loves portals, and he also is aware, like I am, that some dates, like we're coming up very soon on February. It's going to be, February 2nd, 2022, and then also February 22nd, 2022. Those are going to be a couple of them coming up very, very soon. Yeah, or if maybe when who knows when, I don't know when people are watching this, because people will be watching it, and it may have happened. But the idea is, even if those already happened, you didn't miss out. They're coming up all the time. So you can look at portals that happen with time. And that's a portal that's open for the whole planet based on our clocks and calendars and so forth.
Oh my God. I can't even tell you the amount of synchronicities that happen when you speak. Like, first of all, last podcast, when you mentioned that brass turtle, immediately I was like, my mom had that. But then I was like, all right, Christina, you're crazy. Maybe she may have had that. But that was the first thought that came to me, is I remember exactly what it was and that she had it. And then it was like, maybe she almost had, maybe she might, I don't know, because I'm trying to make sense of it. Okay, then you mentioned that old-fashioned Mickey Mouse. That was my favorite when I was little, old-fashioned Mickey Mouse. Okay, then the fact that it's so interesting, his name is Chris Anatra. My
mom Chris
was so her father was really good friends with Frank Sinatra, and his son and my mom would be in plays a lot together. So it's just so interesting,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he used to visit the house after my dad passed and stuff, and I'd be on his lap. So it's just just like pouring synchronicities over it.
This is amazing. Wow. And
I can't tell you, like, because the footage is so clear now, seeing you, like, I know this isn't the podcast for it, but basically, like, it literally looks like I'm looking at my mom. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, so do you remember, okay, what do you think about, have you heard of background people or non-player characters?
Yeah, I've heard of it, and it's an interesting concept. I also do a lot of work with like sentient entities of all different levels, shall we say, and there are such things as prototypical consciousness. There are different levels of consciousness itself. So it's quite possible that some of the people we think like that's a background player, that's a non-player character, whatever, NPC. But what if they're still every bit legitimate as you and I, and they're just at a different level. And so, and there by the grace of God, that there go I, that could be me. And when you look at it that way, then you realize, okay, there are no NPCs because everything is, and that's how I actually see it. I see people who are just so zoned out and they seem like they're not really there, but that's okay because they're there as much as they can be.
Yeah.
They're you know what I mean?
Yes. Amazing. Thank you. Okay. So this is okay. I don't want to like name drop. Basically, somebody mentioned who's like known to be a guru out there in his own right, that when we pass, he feels we just come right back. And that so here's the thing that kind of bothered me because I love to hear about heaven and I like to think that we can come back when we want and all sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I wanted to ask you about that. Like, where do you feel we go when we go?
Well, my most recent past life that I remember is like 500 years in the future from now. So, and I love being between lives. I love hanging out. My favorite thing in the world is just to hang out with God. I feel like I just want to grab onto the robes. I feel like I'm way down there at the feet, like holding the robe and just blissed out. Like that's me, like blissed out. And I feel like even between lives, God's constantly reminding me, like, helping people, like, right, okay. And so I'm doing that. And then at some point, like, and now must be in a life, like, really? I'd rather just hang out with you. And so I know from my experience that I did spend a lot of time and I was justifying it because it was a traumatic life in the past life in the future. I felt like that was kind of all kinds of wrong because it was a reality. I know we're not going to go there because I'm voting against it. Like we do not want central AI pretending to be humanity's God. It's a disaster. So big vote no. Been there, seen that. We're saying no.
Yeah.
And so I'm just blissed out hanging out with God. So I would say we do not just snap back. I needed time to heal and recover, even though when I came back into this life, I still had some post-traumatic stress disorder from that, believe it or not, which is kind of weird to have a PTSD from stuff that doesn't even happen here. But it was and I feel like I've been working through that. It's mostly cleared, but these things have layers to them. So I'd say I'm like 95% clear. So there's not much residue. But to answer your question, I did not feel like I was ready to just jump right back. Some people might do that if they felt like that was a great life and let's go right back in, sure. But for most of the lives that I remember, I need time to process, which may be what seems like a long time when you're in heaven is very fast here. Time is different because you're in that kind of, when you're hanging out with God, that's zero entropy. So you're outside linear time. And so that means that it might, I don't know, time's different. It's not at all the same thing. So there's a way you could look at someone saying you come right back and say like, maybe, you could say that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And okay, there was a question I actually wanted to ask you at one of the previous podcasts. I'm going to ask you now. If someone's alive in one reality but passed in another, is the version that passed in another in heaven?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, gets into who are we really? The real question is who are we?
Yes.
That's what I mean, because all the rest of this is just like branches of that. And when you ask who are we, like how many possible realities am I running through right now? And am I all of this? And if I am, how come I'm not conscious of that? And those are really good questions. I think we've answered some of them previously, like, well, you can feel that they're there, but they're busy, so you don't want to interrupt them. Except maybe once in a while they might be like, hey, I see you. And then you can have that kind of cross communication. But maybe that's happening now for the first time. Right? This might be a rare opportunity during this great awakening that could happen.
Okay. So hang on one second. I'm just gonna pause. Okay, Cynthia. So to bring all this amazing knowledge down to earth, say someone wanted to shift into a reality where their neighbors were quieter. How would one go about doing such a thing?
Great question. Well, often what's locking in a given reality is an emotional connection. So it's usually drama. I mention this frequently, the drama triangle. It has to do with the idea is that we come into life and feeling kind of like a victim, like we can't do things for ourselves. We cry a lot. We're sad. There's grief. Then you move in, as you mature, you move into being a rescuer. And you get into the drama of I will save people, and I'm anxious and I'm fearful about what could go wrong. And then once you get bored with that, then you move into the persecutor and you get angry and righteously pissed off and all that stuff. That's the drama triangle. So if you want to change a reality for best results, I recommend get above the drama. So you want to acknowledge that there exists a reality where you love your neighbors and you feel like they are like the how good can I get neighbors. And you start feeling that way about them real time, right now, every day, all the time, like a waking meditation. And you do clearing energy work on the energy cords between your heart and their hearts. So whatever is different than unconditional divine love, you're clearing it. And you can do that with like Qigong, just imagine breath work and movement. So you just do snap, clap, clear, clearing energy cords with them. And just imagining like they are amazing, just like feeling like so much love. Even though it may feel like, what, because you're not right there right now. But just take it like an exercise, like, okay, I'm going to practice this. Let's see what happens. Can't do any harm. Things are already pretty difficult. So
Yes. Yes. Guys, this is me on a month of no sleep. But yeah, they're great. They're great. Anyway. Well, Cynthia, my soul could be with you forever. However, we're still on earth where time exists. So unfortunately, with that law, out of respect for your precious time, we'll have to wrap it up for today. But please be back anytime you'd like. Yeah, you have a home here. And yeah, much love. Much love.
thank you.
And until next time, guys, please check out Cynthia's channel and everything she has, including her notifications on when IMAC is, etc. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to both of us. All right, guys, until next time, keep grounded and, it's okay to have your head in the clouds too. Stay grounded.